Meaningful Use Stage 2, Course Set 16, Immunization Registry Data Submission. The requirement of Course Set 16 is to measure successful ongoing submission of electronic immunization data from the electronic health record to an immunization registry or state information system for the entire reporting period. The objective is to ensure that eligible providers are capable of submitting their immunization information to their state registry electronically, except in locations where it is prohibited by law. Now, the attestation values are not numerical, so there are no numerators and denominators with Course Set 16. It is an affirmative attestation, but there are multiple conditions as to whether you're going to be able to attest yes, or if you have to declare an exclusion. First scenario of being able to attest yes is if you already have an electronic interface in production with your state registry and it remains in production during the reporting period. In other words, for those of you carrying over from Stage 1, since this was an optional menu measure in Stage 1, you may have elected it and already be live. Therefore, with Stage 2, you would automatically be able to still attest yes. Now, these next three cases are very similar. They have to do with having already registered with the state registry, but based on the level of the state registry's response and getting you into production, you may still qualify to attest yes. For instance, if you have registered with the state registry at least 60 days before your reporting period began, and you're able to be live by the end of the reporting period, you could still attest yes. Next, if you have registered with the state registry and you are currently in the testing validation phase, even though you will not be able to achieve production, they are testing with you. Or finally, if you have registered with the state registry and you are just waiting to be invited into testing. So in one of those four scenarios, if you're already in production, or if you have at least registered with your immunization state registry, within the reporting period, you're going to achieve it, or you are currently in the testing or waiting to start testing, you are able to attest yes to Course Set 16. Now, there are also 4 exemption scenarios in order to exclude yourself. One of those, of course, would be the obvious if, as an eligible provider, you do not administer immunizations to any of your patient population, then you're able to exempt Course Set 16. Secondly, if you operate in a jurisdiction where there is no immunization registry or an information system at the state level capable of accepting the data electronically. So in the second scenario, you may actually do immunizations, but if the state you practice in is not equipped with an information system to take the data from us electronically, you can declare the exemption. Third, if you operate in a jurisdiction where there may be an immunization registry, however, they're not able to get you into production on a timely fashion, meaning within the reporting period. And then finally, if you're in a jurisdiction where there is no immunization registry capable at the start of your reporting period to take on new doctors. So in those 4 scenarios, you would be able to declare the exclusion. Now, there is setup involved here. Under the meaningful use settings, there are immunization-related preferences at the physician level as well as at the clinic level. So you do want to make sure, based on the above scenarios, whether you're attesting yes or excluding, that you define the appropriate flags in that master file. Now, here is a current listing of the state with registries that we're aware of, including those that we are currently in production with or finalizing the production stages, as well as states that we know have a registry available, but we have just not gotten into the final stages of production or may not have even begun yet. And then there is a list here on the far right of a few states that we're not even clear if they have one or if there is none available. We just have not had any requests from clients in those states. Now I'm going to toggle into Prognosis. I'm going to go ahead and open up Donna's chart, and she does have a vaccination due. When you administer the vaccine and the interface is live, as soon as you save your administration details, the record is automatically interfaced to your state. You will get no pop-ups. You will get no errors or alerts. There is nothing for you to do other than request the setup. So I'm going to go into the configuration menu now. Now there is a separate video here on the Resource Center specific for the meaningful use settings, but I want you to see them in the context of Core Set 16. So I'm going to open up my MU Settings Master and choose Dr. Cooper. And if you scroll down here towards the bottom, there is a section for immunization information for eligible providers who do not administer vaccines. Now, this is if you declare that first scenario of the exclusion. At a provider level, whether your practice has to do a state registry or not, if you do not administer vaccines within your specialty, you want to make sure you declare yourself exempt. There's also, however, a clinic level setting for immunization, and this is when you get into those scenarios as to when you can declare yes. So with regards to your registration with the public health agency, and are you going to be able to achieve it by the end of your reporting period? Are you currently in the testing stage? Are you waiting to test, or are you already live? So please remember that based on whether you're going to attest yes or not, you need to define yourself correctly so that the Meaningful Use dashboard is able to track it. Now, if you notice this very last bullet point, ongoing submission to registry is not done. To request setup, go to Setup Required tab. I'm going to click on the Setup Required tab. Now in my training environment, I'm showing that I have a registry interface live for the state of Georgia. So my checkbox here is disabled. In your environment, if you are not yet live, then your status will be blank and this checkbox will be enabled. And what you can do is click that checkbox, put in your email, and then click this button that says Send Email. That will send an automated request to the Meaningful Use Engineer Interface team. They will respond to you with a confirmation that they have begun the process to get your test file submitted to your registry for your state. And then once it is completed, it will show here the state that you are in production with.